Hey, Mocha. You're on a countertop splash? It's a video anyway. Okay, bye. A little too much for him, is it? Oh, ooh, that kitty. Hey, kitty. Mocha. Say hi to everybody. Hi. Hello. Hey, Mocha. This is your business as much as mine. Yeah, okay. He's like, wow. Look at everything that's going on. It's a lot, but if that's your thing, if you like to have a lot going on in your space, that's the best. I love that. I'm an artist, right? We're told we're chaotic individuals or really sensitive, or we sure process a lot. Calm down. Whatever. We do have a lot going on. Doesn't mean it's not fucking awesome, though. Look at this. This is my space. This is what I chose to make for myself. And yeah, it's pretty busy. It's pretty hectic. And I have to say, in person, when I meet you, you'll see when we do it, it's actually way more impressive. It's way better. But I'm trying to give you a taste. You're an idea of what you're going to get. I want you to know, though. Keep that in mind. Know in advance. In person, the depth is amazing. And it's like the objects are just floating in space. You can really see them. There's three-dimensionality to it. It's not just... I don't know if you can see it there. Can you see it in the video? Not really. Yeah, you can't really tell just how three-dimensional it is, because the resin allows all of that beauty to float. It just floats. You can see all of it. You want to see again? Yeah, just all that, and it's pretty shiny too. We turn the moon on, right? We like the moon. We want to turn her on. There's a lot left. We'll charge her up and then do it again later. Just don't have what I used to. Oh, just kidding. I still got it. But anyway, bad joke. Okay, we're coming back. But my silly sense of humor. I'm sorry. We're here for Countertops, and this is Countertop Splash. Joel Parker, the art of Joel Parker, being my parent company. Bringing you, yes, this is Countertop Splash. A little weird, but I tell you, there's a lot to it, and we're well worth it. You like unique, you like being different, you like having something new, something to talk about. Come to me, because we'll do it. We'll buzz in your space. We'll find something. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Look at this guy. Huh? Just keeps going. Lots going on. And again, if elegant is more for you, we can do that. We have a lot of that in us too. We like it rich. We like it beautiful. We like it posh. We like it elegant. And that is what this is. I'll even put my coffee on a saucer. Here. I'll show you what I'm like. I love this stuff too. Just gorgeous. So if you don't want the crazy, you want more put together, more flowy and interesting, but rich, right? That's the vibe we're going for. Then, yeah, look at this. Wow, get the spatula out of the way. Spatula City! No, I'm just kidding. Not everyone knows that reference. And Weird Al, I know I'm kind of weird. Oh, yeah. We can go both ways. There's a lot to it, man. There's a lot to survive in and thrive in. Having a good time, making things beautiful wherever we go. Try to improve things, right? Try to bring something in the world and make it a better place and help us all be more connected. Celebrate the beauty that we have to share and find some richness in those deep inner spaces. We don't always go, because there's a lot going on, but I tell you, there's a lot going down there that's worth checking in with. Hopefully we can bring it up to you. Bring it into your space. Right in your countertop. It's like a meditation to me. I don't want to get too out there on it, but it is It's like it helps me meditate in it. Helps me get the day going. Helps me want to get out there because I see how much there is. It reminds me how much there is. We get maybe caught in our head, a little trapped in our little spaces and our loops. I do think I can help you get out there by having something special that you see in the morning. I'm going to remind you of things, maybe conversations we had when I was there with you. I try to be inspiring if I can help. Understanding, that's one thing people are always saying, just how understanding I am. It can be taxing for me at times if I can't get away when I need to. But as long as I'm independent and you respect me and you respect that and understand I have my own needs too, I'm willing to listen, and hopefully we can exchange some energy there too. We've all been through a lot, and having connection and understanding in our world is, well, it's a primary need. Gabor Mate is a good reference for understanding the need for both authenticity, which is what I want to bring, and connection at the same time, because often that connection is severed, and that's trauma. We think we won't survive if we're real, if we're true, if we're honest, but we have to be honest because it's honesty that tracks the world. And even just a sliver of dishonesty can just spiral out of control, guys. So it can be ugly sometimes, it can be hard, be really fucking beautiful, and often that severance is that just little bit that we're scared of. We end up losing touch with the whole, and the whole is 98% beautiful in my opinion. 98%. Maybe 2% of us is struggling at any given time, and then that struggle actually generates growth. The majesty of creation is propelled by savagery and difficulty and what we like to call trauma. And if we are able to take a breath and move through those spaces, into those spaces, if we have community and a community that understands how difficult that can be, we can't always rely on everyone else. And sometimes people can't take our abuse while we're taking it out on them or showing them. They feel scared that we're going to do it to them. And we try not to. You know, if we're good people, we really try to protect people from ourselves as well as protect them from other people. And often the missing link for the people who care is that we don't protect ourselves from other people too. And a lot of us probably have that as part of our story. And people probably didn't even know they were fucking hurting us. They didn't know how sensitive we were for our, the artist type, the bit that's lost. I think everyone has probably a part of themselves that relates. Sacrificed a little too much. We thought we could get going. Thought we could get going in time and still make sure we look after everything for ourselves, but then we didn't. When we were left behind, and we have to go back, find that little kid, maybe a teenager, whatever it is, however it is, when we thought we wouldn't survive. Go back and love that individual. I know I'm getting preachy. I'm sorry. I don't want to tell you how to live your life. I just hope to show you a way to survival and authenticity at the same time. Honest community, real, deep work. Acceptance can go pretty far, but know that your survival drives are there for a reason too. And the authenticity piece, a lot of that is needing to be free. And some of us have well-meaning mother figures who just won't let us go, and they hang on to us too tight, and they don't let us be the size that we are. They squeeze us. And you can't breathe, and it takes the life out of you. They're scared for us, and I think it's a little bit for themselves too. They've grown an attachment to you just as you've grown an attachment to them, and without understanding how that works, and even while you understand how that works, it's often very difficult to let go or know if it's actually time to let go and go back and forth with the kid as they go and explore and probably take some hits and misunderstandings and have to learn, and then come to you because they're needing resources, and you probably feel used after a while if you're a mother. Maybe even abused by your kid, and you don't know where to turn. Maybe you've been abused in the past too. Reminds you of everything you've gone through. Now you're going through all of that in your head, trying to be there for your child, and your resources may be dwindling. You may be falling apart too. So often people will pray to God, hoping there are resources coming from elsewhere that we don't understand because we're too focused on what we're doing. And we hope and pray and keep going and keep having faith. These are the words that were taught to me in my childhood. the opiate of the masses, like I don't mean that dismissively. The opiate of the masses does ring true. It's this reminder that we are still part of something bigger, and we're sustained by it. And fear has to do with perceived knowledge of the future. Sometimes it's an actual perception, so you have to allay your fears and listen, though. Verify first. Go and watch, pay attention, see what they're talking about, and if they don't give you a clear answer, and then you find they're just at your throat, it's about them. And if it's not about them, sorry, you can't waste your time with someone's knife around your neck. So you gotta leave. And if they won't understand your truth, or they can't integrate it, or there's just no resolution because you stand where you do and you believe in your space, and to you their perception might be warped. It's true to them. What they see in the way their consciousness molds reality to them, the channels that they think with, and maybe they don't understand they could let go, or that there might be something bigger or better just because it did help them survive, and they felt like it was because of the way of thinking, right? It was because of how they saw things that they got their needs met. They believed it was actually the faith that brought it to them. And they got a little bit confused. The faith is for them. A benevolent Father always gives. And sometimes it's unfortunately trial and hardship, because we see how through our lived experience, and this is where sometimes things do get warped, because we don't always interpret all of our experiences properly. Drawing on the community helps, through metaphor, through story. Movies often show a lot about the different facets of our consciousness. There's a lot to talk about there. And there's a lot going on, and often stories apply for one day, but then the next day they hurt you because the space has changed and what you're dealing with and your needs have changed, and what you need to address at the time might be totally different. So tracking your child through the development while they're learning absolutely everything about the world, and that's an innumerable set of processes. And to see it as processes, you may dehumanize by accident the child. They may feel objectified. Now that's a wound in itself too, because they need to feel like they're an individual to you. You're a third person. Because it's people that make up community, and it's faith that people, individuals, matter above all else, or at least most of the time. And depending on the parameters, that's something that we keep on exploring and searching. And that's part of the overall social dynamic of culture emerging that we find present in our world. And it does appear to be a conversation, an ever emerging process, and there are places in which things are very rigid, and those temples may house people for a certain period of time, but they don't encompass everything. They're a part of creation, something in it. Maybe they mirror a larger set of rules. I prefer the scientific notion that aren't rules per se, it's habitual formations. That the mechanics that we take for granted as being law are actually permeable and flexible. And they depend mostly on the resonance of things. Formation of the word, and the creation story does have a metaphorical understanding in it, a truth to it, that resonance, the word, what's word? People think word. I heard the combination of sounds, a sequence of events. Word, not just as a sequence of events in physical space-time or vibrations surrounding the person and entering the ear canal and being felt through other neurons throughout the body too. So you do know you don't only hear with your ears. You've been to, I'm sure, concerts or heard really long, loud bangs that you felt through your whole body. That's still hearing, so to speak. I personally have a lot of synesthesia with sound. I'm a mutant, I don't want to scare you. No, just kidding. But I see sounds in physical space, and there's often even color that gets mixed into the different sounds reverberating. Sometimes I'll look at them the way cats see energy movements, I suppose. Sometimes I'll just be messing around with energies, and the cat will just be tracking the stuff that I'm messing around with my hands with and whatever. If you don't believe in that stuff, that's okay. I don't really care to discuss it if you don't want to. And I don't need anybody to believe in anything either. Again, it's how Christian can you get? But they taught me to think of people's awareness and consciousness as being formed to the degree that they need to be to address the needs that they exist to address in themselves at the time, and to learn the lessons to move beyond but be able to come back fruitfully when the time is right or when things are needed, and be able to communicate with yourself in the future when you need something again, because there's a time lapse to it and karma's run out. But you can build supplies so that you leave them in your liver, for example, as a metaphor. You leave fats and stuff to fuel different organs and other processes in provision for what you foresee in the future. And this is an ongoing process on all levels. You're doing it often without any conscious thought. We intuitively learned a lot of them, or we learned them by observing our parents. And sometimes the ways in which people, they call it coping, but really it's simply addressing things, they no longer serve us as a whole. Maybe they take too much. They call that greed, right? Give too little, apathy. Selfishness is such a strong term, and now it's turned into narcissism. All these certain things, and when people investigate what narcissism is, they found, holy fuck, there's a wounded child still operating because he had to look after his own fucking needs way too soon. Or maybe even had to try to look after the needs of the other people in his community before his needs were even met, or before he can conceptualize himself as an individual, because to him he wasn't treated as such at all times. And then, truthfully, it's impossible to do that with a kid at all times, because you have to provide everything. And that's the God complex thing. To a child, you guys are God. You take care of everything, but no one can. No one's perfect. Forgiveness takes play. There's no way to actually understand everything, and if you have a very strong memory through spaces, the way I do, and a really strong sensitivity to social dynamics, and my gay voice coming out a little bit, apparently there's a pretty compelling theory about homosexuality, that it emerges to establish, I want to say, greed and romance, but specifically human needs that flow through universal channels, but through connection and community, that aren't being met by either father, mother, or any male presences. There's something missing that everyone needs, and men need to learn to share. So we emerge and we make a scene, for sure, because hey, you can't be gay, you can't be a man, and you can't like another man, you can't show love, you can't show affection, you can't touch each other, something might happen. And then we do store resonances, emotional experiences, and memory encoded in our bodies through space. So if someone comes and touched something that it hurt, and we're scared of it, we don't know how disruptive it might be, going there again, it might fuck up our whole life, because maybe it felt like it did at the time. Thought our survival was at stake, or something we needed, something we were clinging to, something we didn't understand, and maybe we just remember feeling hopeless, lost at sea, lost in the bay, abandoned, who knows. Sometimes we felt really abused, and there's no way we're going back there, buddy. No one abuses us. We have a fucking strong ego about that, right? That's a very strong masculine entity. We fucking love that, guys. We're not saying it's wrong to defend yourself. You have to eventually defend other people too who are being wrongfully accused or abused by other people, being bullied, etc. The weak and vulnerable. That being said, those who lack courage will be punished by the group. If you're not able to confront your demons, you have too much fear. Well, you think we weren't afraid, dude? Okay. I think any of us isn't afraid. You do it anyway. That's what being a man is. For me, is that am I afraid to be gay? Yeah, I'm fucking scared of it. I don't even really know if I am. If it's just connected to needs or whatever, survival, need for connection, fatherhood, in ways that relationship for me felt quite broken. I felt very unrecognized. I just wanted him to fucking notice me, and I couldn't get his attention, get him to make eye contact, whatever. I felt very resistant to connection. It's like a struggle, and it eventually became a fucking dominance battle, and then I did get better at most things than my dad as he aged, and at first it was gratifying. I was 6, better at catch or something, or whatever. I thought I was better at. He probably just pretended to. But then later on, actually legitimately doing better at different activities, and finding myself having a sense of dominance over him. It was confusing, because I felt like that would allay my fears and address my curiosities and help me feel complete. Yeah, this might be just better for my journal. People don't need to know all this stuff. Yeah, fair enough. Pretty long video too. But, I want to speak to people. And if you find any meaning in the work that I do, and you want to invite me into your home, I do need to eat. I do need to survive too. And I do believe that the value I bring is not really as a therapist, because I'm not a trained therapist. I'm simply a person that put a lot of things together, and I found a lot of things that work in different spaces. And I also know I have a lot to learn, and we all have a lot to learn from each other. I'd like that to be my voice more than anything else, is guys, learn from your kids, learn from each other, learn from everybody around you, because we're all constantly somewhere doing something, finding information that's valuable in some way, in some space that on reflection does matter to you. It might be hard to grasp at first because it's new. We're still all kids in that way, where there's innumerable things that we don't know yet, we haven't encountered, but it might enrich our lives to pay attention to, and maybe we care about more than just money or looks or status or girls or guys or getting ridiculous, sort of be crude, if there are any more sensitive individuals to that listening. In many ways, I've tasted a lot of the things that the world has to offer, too. We'll talk about being the scapegoat or feeling like the scapegoat of different communities and the future. I save best for last, so to speak, but I've also felt like the king and served and upheld by different people and really looked up to and inspired by, etc. I feel like I've gone through quite a range of different roles, if you will, or different positions, different experiences, different relationship dynamics, different perceptual changes to character, different growths emotionally and skill-wise, and maintaining connection through the whole fucking thing. I don't know if I managed to remain whole, if I'm still a person, just a psychopath. So I've been called that before when I simply needed to protect myself from many different entities and a lot of abuses and being stolen from, and my boundaries being agreed to, which are contracts. I don't forget those and then ignore, and then People are taking more than I had offered or willing to give. And then if I say anything, they get mad at me. And if I reference, the things that I got you to agree to when we first met. Oh, it doesn't matter anymore. We're past that, aren't we? We shouldn't be, because we didn't revise those things. So maybe the password of consent, a big cultural phenomenon now, and like, we need to understand that is a new concept. I know it's hard when you agree that we need to be able to agree to everything before we experience it, and we get to be mad at everyone who doesn't actually get our agreement first. You just believe that's just the fucking structure of reality, and of course everyone lives that way, and it's the way it is. So fucking just, destroy that guy's career. Take him down. Fuck that guy, right? Well, he may actually be a compassionate individual, and he actually, maybe there were miscommunications, or maybe there were some mixed signals involved in the interaction, because there usually is. We're communicating in a lot of fucking ways at the same time with people. It's not always just verbal, and we're not robots, and we're not automatons. It's never going to be that way. It's never going to be clear cut. And then, of course, it's just enthusiastic then. It's like, guys, enthusiastic is quite a lovely luxury. And that's how I prefer it to be. I don't really feel that cared for, special, and intelligent or interesting to someone if they don't really fucking want me there. So I usually just lose interest if people aren't all that interested in me. And that's maybe a coping mechanism, defense mechanism, my way of staying clear and safe from social justice warriors, you say, whatever. But also just, I care about people as well, and I'm pretty empathetic, so it hurts me to hurt people. But I understand through empathy and my own experiences when I'm just looking for what I feel I need to do. I know what it's like to not notice that other people are involved, or that they might be hurt in ways that are actually really important to them in the relationship, or maybe even you. We often hurt people in the ways that we feel hurt by people. All of these, again, Christian understandings, I often lead to, turn the other cheek as a coping mechanism, or like the proper response. And I don't feel like that's the proper response in many cases either, because often that becomes just a vicious cycle of succumbing to abuse. And if that's how you experience what's going on, and you just get hurt more and more, and you regress more and more, and keep going in that direction, it's not hard to imagine where that might go. Especially if you're in the hands of someone who's abusing you. And that's how control over the psyche is often wielded, the carrot and the stick. But the stick gets bigger and bigger as the defenses come down, and the carrot gets smaller and smaller and farther away. When you see these types of things happening, and maybe you try to address them, and they use the carrot to get you away from it, or the stick to hit you over the head, or threaten you, maybe. They just give you a certain look that they gave when they did hit you once. They did hurt you, and that's enough to shatter you, send you spiraling. They may or may not know what they're doing. It's a good chance that they do, but they may really not, and it's probably just them passing it on. So forgiveness and understanding is actually very helpful for you too, but you do actually have to look after yourself first before you're able to look after anyone else, and you have to monitor where you're actually at and keep those monitors, guys, because having true faith that everybody else actually is able to monitor you and keep your best interests in mind and look after you, it's that's a risky dice to throw. Humans are fallible. We're all in this together, though. But look after your own needs. Often the need for connection masquerades to get attention in many other ways. Just an understanding to have. I feel preachy again. I definitely do. And these are things that I want to learn. to apply, but safely. And I want to maintain my own sense of growth and purpose and movement forward into the world from the root, bringing it out. And that's where I'm going to go. Cheers. Hopefully this didn't just make you sad. I hope it illuminated something, or you learned something, or you're interested. Maybe you're just like, oh, his blue eyes are really cool. I want to look at his blue eyes more. Anyway, whatever. It's a nice color. Sure. Maybe you think I see something that you don't. That's probably true. And we'll see if it's something that needs to be indicated to you or not. Often it doesn't help to know. Often it doesn't help to know. And I don't always know if it'll help to know. And I don't want to be responsible for things changing if, it's not on me. Generally speaking, when people encounter me, though, something changes. And it can't all be on me to try to align to predict how every little shift, like the butterfly effect thing, right? Like, it's not up to me to know. I see a lot, but it's not up to me. Sorry, guys. I can't know. But I'm here, and I care. In some ways I don't. It's important to be able to admit that you don't give a fuck, while you really deeply care too at the same time, because that actually is the balance. The more we can bring those attitudes together in alignment in a way that works with the value systems of the community, the more we find acceptance while bringing value, and the more value we can bring and support and inspiration, etc., whatever people need, the more respect that you're given as well. And hopefully there's, before that, love and acceptance of who you actually are and what you want to do and what interests you and your passions. Because leaving that behind, guys, you're going to feel like you're dying. So don't. I need to be creative. And this is me. Talk again.